A good father is a leader who builds his family's future with every choice he makes today. Unknown author. All right. Good morning. Excuse me. Welcome to another morning episode of the Liberty Dad podcast, a discussion on politics and culture. I'm your host, DL, America's most objective libertarian. If you're tuning in live, thank you so much for giving me your time so early. Today, we have another episode. Well, I guess, we're continuing on in this Dad Talk series. Uh, Fridays is my day to just kind of step away from politics. We're not going to criticize all the government actors and, the decisions that they're making, criticizing their bills or, give counterpoints to the talking heads. Nope. Today on Friday, I do one of two things. I either have a dad on and we talk about what he wants to talk about, yeah, or I just talk about dad related stuff. Well, I don't have a dad today. Boo. That was my soundtrack. Boo. I just don't have a soundtrack. I didn't have one ready. I could get one real quick, but like that seems like it'd be kind of silly. Um, but anyway, so I was actually looking it up. I'm like, well, I guess I could click on this really quickly, and then I could be like, I could start that all over, right? I could say, I don't have a dad on the show today. Okay. So now that we've got that awkward and goofiness set aside. All right. So I don't have a dad on today. And what I did was I was like, I didn't have anything in particular queued up. Like sometimes I'll see a video, like an interaction with a parent and a child or something. And I'm like, oh, that'd be really good conversation to have. But I don't have anything like that. So what I did was I went to the dad group and I just collected a whole bunch of things. I anonymized the names, since I'm pulling them out of a group. You have to sign up to be in the group. It's not quite a private group. I mean, it kind of is. But here's the thing. There's like 100,000 men in there. Or supposedly men. And so I'm like, it's kind of not really that private, but just as a courtesy, I removed everybody's names, uh, so that we could just kind of focus on the conversation. And, so basically what I just look and I say, I think I could answer that. I think I have a response for that, a meaningful one, not just any response. Okay. Like on this show, we try to, we try to talk about things in a meaningful manner. Could I just get on here, grab the mic and just start talking? Yeah, I could, like about anything. But does that necessarily make it meaningful? No. So I try to pick things that are meaningful. So I've got that. And then after the break, I've got an interesting video that I want to present, and we'll explain those details. And then in the after show, I was like, all right, I'm starting to plan my after show now. And so bill review Monday. Mondays are bill review days. So in the after show, I'll point and I'll kind of talk about some of the bills that are on my radar to potentially talk about on Monday. So the after show is going to be like this week. Maybe in the future I'll do it differently, right? Because like Friday's Dad Talk Day, so I'm going to do Dad Talk, which gets away from the politics and the fighting like that, and we talk about like dad related stuff. So maybe next week in the after show, I'll do more of that. Maybe something spicier or, maybe something less appropriate for the kids or something like that. But today, just because I'm still working things out in terms of the after show, we're going to jump back into politics. So that's what we've got going on today. So let's first let me give you a an update on the Rumble Creator Program. So it is going swimmingly. And that's exciting for me. Where's my that I have I had There it is, I think. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So it's going swimmingly. I'm not going to put it up on the screen. Um, but I want to thank everybody that watches, whether you're watching live or whether you watch it later. I think it's awesome. I also want to point out I do see the comments that come in after the show, and I respond to them. If they're like, there's been a couple that I don't respond to. Like somebody was, they jumped in the comments to say, "Don't recommend this channel to me again." But I have this feeling that YouTube's going to be like, "Oh, you commented on his video, you must wanna see more videos." So, I think you whoever that is, I think you did it wrong. Like, I think there's a way on YouTube to say, like, "Don't recommend this really awesome creator again, because I don't like to see really awesome creators in my feed. I just wanna see the lame ones." Like, I think there's a way for you to do that, but putting a comment in the chat strikes me as probably not the best way. But then I had some other ones, some people were like, "Hey, I really appreciate your stuff. You know, keep this same attitude. Don't get bullied away from these topics and the way that you're presenting them." So, thank you guys for everybody that responds in the comments. I try to respond to them all. But again, maybe I miss one or whatever. So that's pretty awesome. All right, so back to this Rumble Creator Program. I am currently at 54.7 hours, and so if you do the math, and this is how I do the math. So like I'm on day 9, so I have to have 200 hours by the end of this month in order to be re-enrolled in the program for next month. So where am I? I'm currently at 54.7 hours. If you do the math and you say, okay, we'll divide that by 8 because today's 9 and today's just begun. So I can't really divide it by 9. So if you divide it by 8, that puts me at 6.8 hours on average per day. So that's a good thing. That's getting me where I need to go. If that pace stays, like that pace of watching stays and it doesn't go any lower than that, then I would actually end up with like somewhere around 205 hours by the end of the month. So thank you so much for everybody that watches. I encourage you to, post the show elsewhere and say, hey, check out this show if it's, where it's relevant. I mean, don't just drop my dad talk show in, a political conversation out of nowhere. Like, find the shows where I've talked about something and be like, hey, this Liberty Dad guy, he talked about this. Here's an episode. That'd be wonderful for me. So do that and make sure if you're going to drop them for right now, just drop the Rumble links. Now, when I get a little bit bigger and have a larger audience, and I'm not, worried about these kind of metrics necessarily, not to try to stay in the program, then it won't matter which link you use, whether it's from YouTube or X or wherever. But for now, we're trying to promote Rumble as much as we can. So let's see here. I do want to get to this really quickly. Where is it? Let me get this. Where did it? All right. So my VA lady says we are trying to get Liberty Dad to 500 subscribers on YouTube. Do DL a solid and sub on YouTube, even if you watch somewhere else. And then there's the link. You can go to youtube.com/at Liberty Dad. So yes, please do that. I think I'm at like 487 or 488, but these things really do help out the show. And let's say that you're not somebody that can in some way donate to the show or whatever. That's fine. A follow does a lot. Every follow helps. So please, follow me on YouTube, get me to that 500 threshold. These are the thresholds that I need to make in order to move on to the next level so I can level up in the game, if you will, and get monetized. So that's where we are. Just wanted to give you a quick update. Things are going pretty well. All right, let's get into some dad stuff. Too much time on other stuff. Let's get into dad stuff. So on this episode, on Fridays, I like to get away from politics a little bit. This first image, though, kind of doesn't, but we're gonna stay away from the politics part. So here's this first image. It says we traded this for higher GDP. So we're gonna ignore what we traded, higher GDP. We're gonna ignore all the politics of that. We're just gonna say here's a graphic, a 4-part meme, and it shows what in this idyllic lifestyle, right? Like you've got in the first frame, you've got a man looking at his wife while she's sleeping with some flowers in his hand. So, presumably he's coming in to give her flowers while she's sleeping. He got up early, went out in the yard, picked her best flowers, which she'll yell at him later for. But he at least got her flowers, so cool. And then in the second frame, you see the man is in front of a house and he's kissing his wife. And these are like a cartoon version of Norman Rockwell. And so then in the lower left, you see the dad. It looks like he's helping the kid reach up on something, maybe grab a toy from a shelf or something. And then you see all three of them in the lower right-hand corner in the frame. They're all three in church. The mom and the son are singing and the dad is not, which seems about right to me. Whenever I go to church, I do not sing. That way we do not bring any destruction upon anybody. So why am I bringing this up? There's a lot of conversation that I see that about having this like particular lifestyle, like, oh, this traditional lifestyle, it's just not possible anymore. And so this is kind of what this picture is getting at. I don't really want to argue about whether or not it's possible with the current state of the economy and all that so much. I just want to say, like, if this is the kind of life that you're looking for, then don't give up hope. Go figure it out. Right? Like everything in this picture, in this meme, every single one of these frames, I have done. And look, I like to think of myself as something special, but at the end of the day, I'm an average everyday dad, right? Like I got a podcast, but you could have a podcast just as well. I got married. Okay. Nothing special about that. And I mean that compared to everybody else. Nothing special about that because why? Millions of people are married in this country. Millions of people have children, right? So when I say there's nothing special about me, I mean like whatever I'm doing, millions of other people are already doing. It's very possible. You don't even you can step away from the politics on this, right? So I have given my wife flowers. I go to Publix and I'll buy some flowers, and then I bring to her like on Mother's Day or something like that. In fact, let me tell you a funny story. Speaking of Mother's Day, which is coming up, my son loves Minecraft. I bought her a shirt that says Mom Craft and it has a couple of little icons like a coffee. And this is kind of designed in a Minecraft style. And I thought that would be kind of fun to get her for Mother's Day. And it'd be from our son. Like he would enjoy that. He would like her wearing it. I can almost guarantee that when she wears this shirt, he's gonna go grab his Minecraft shirt and he's gonna wear it. He's like, "Look, Bob, we're both wearing Minecraft today." Right? So it's gonna be exciting. So I thought that was pretty cool. But here's the mistake that I made. I bought it on Amazon, and then my wife came in the other day and she was like, "What's this for?" And I was like, "That's for you to not be snooping or something." I mean, I wasn't mean or anything, but I was just like, "That's for you not to be looking at stuff." I was like, "Why?" I was like, "Why are you messing up my our Mother's Day gift?" And she was like, "Oh, okay." So then as she was leaving the office, I was like, I guess it's a good thing I'm not a cheater because I'm not very good at hiding things. So just wanted to point that out. Okay, so get back to this picture now. I've obviously given my wife a kiss in front of the house a few times. In fact, I think there's even a picture of us on date night giving each other a kiss. And then my son, I have helped him grab things. I have, spent time with him. We've went and done things. We went out in the garage. I've helped him build stuff. Right, like I've done a bunch of stuff with my kid. And then we attend church. Sometimes I'm not particularly the church going guy, but I do attend with them periodically and on a fairly regular, but well, maybe not that regular, but I attend church with them. Like there's nothing stopping me other than, like I want to do this other thing. So if you want this kind of life, it's very doable. People do it already. You can skip all the politics and you can just say, that's the life I want. And when you look for somebody, tell them like, what are you looking for? I'm looking for, somebody that I can raise a family with and have, a couple kids or one kid or whatever. And, oh, you want a boy or a girl? If and you can choose, you can say, I would rather have a girl because, I think it'll be fun to have makeup put on my face. That just seems like a really cool thing. Or you could say, I want a boy because I just can't wait to, build him his first go-kart and then watch him spin around, outside or whatever, like whatever it is that you look forward to, and you could say like, I want a family. I want to be able to take my family to church every Sunday. You know, I want to own a house, right? Like don't don't allow politics to squelch your dreams. Put it that way. Right? Like just look out there and say, are millions of people doing this already? Yep, I can be one of the millions. Right? Like if you want to be a billionaire, okay, that's a tougher challenge. Like doable? And yeah, I think so. Hard? Yes. Harder than having the idyllic lifestyle? Yes. But, don't give up on your dreams. Don't allow politics to sour things so badly that you give up on dreams, especially dreams that we can point and look and say, look, it looks like this is a very common dream that works out. So I just wanted to give that encouragement to you guys. Right, like, that's really what so now let's get into some questions here. These aren't really questions. So what I did was I went to dad's group, and I just screenshotted a bunch of things, and I said, "All right, we're gonna talk about these. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on these," rather than, like, answering every single one of them, which doesn't really do a whole lot to promote my show. So instead, I'm using it as content for my show. See how that works? This is what I mean, like, don't give up on your dreams. I have a dream of building this podcast, growing it. How do I do that? Well, I don't actually know all the details, but I just say, "All right, I can figure this out," and then I go and figure it out. Same concept. So let's put this up on the screen here. Let's see what we got. This first one here. These are kind of random. What do y'all do when home alone? Well, now, if that didn't open up the doors to some inappropriate answers, I didn't even look at the responses. But I thought it was funny because it's like, what do you do? But because like it's funny because we all know exactly what most people think when you see this question in a dad's group. What do you do at home? A lot of guys are like, well, I go check out my OnlyFans girl. No, well, maybe some of you guys do. Here's what Liberty Dad does when he's home alone. It's none of that. So, number one, I flounder. You're like, wait, what? Flounder? Yes. Initially, I flounder. I'm not used to having a huge block of time all to myself. I'm used to like working out blocks of time here, like, oh, I got a couple of hours before my son comes home. And, I just got off a work meeting. So therefore, yes, I have some time. Right. But I'm not used to like a big block of time. So like if my wife leaves for the day and she takes my son and maybe she even takes grandma. Right. So then I'm like, it's like just me and the dog. And it's like all day. Like that's happened a few times. I don't know what to do with myself initially. In fact, it's funny. I tell my wife when she goes on vacation, when she goes, or maybe she goes somewhere like she goes to a conference or something like that. Uh, the first night or two is like the first day or two is like rough for me because it's like totally my schedule is totally thrown off, and I have to I flounder trying to figure out what to do with this new wide open schedule. And so I usually end up staying up late watching movies. And part of that is because like I only watch certain movies when my son's around. And then when he's not around, I'm usually busy. So there's not usually time for me to watch something that's maybe not, maybe appropriate for me, but not appropriate for him. And so like that's one thing that I'll do is I just stay up late. And it seems weird because like I'll go through the day and I'll go to bed and then I stay up late with the only difference being that there's not my wife next to me who would already be sleeping. So so it's kinda weird, right? But that's what I do. And but, like, if they leave for a Saturday, if I have a project that's on my that I'm actively working on, like, maybe I've got a yard project that I'm in the middle of, or maybe I'm trying to really do something very specific with the podcast, then I will find my way to going and doing that. But if I just have things that I can do, then I'm all like, what do I do? I don't know. And so then I kind of flop around trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And then eventually I kind of work it out, after I spend a couple of hours doing nothing, then I finally kind of get around and say, okay, let's do this. So that's what I do when I'm home alone. I flounder. I flop around like a fish, trying to figure out what to do with all this extra time. But I always do find something. Like there's always, there's a woodworking project, there's yard work, there's, maybe something in the house that I need to fix or do or whatever. I work on my podcast. Sometimes every great once in a while, I'm like, free time. Let me grab this book that I've been meaning to read. And then I'll sit down and I'll read a book. And that's really great because I don't get to do a lot of casual reading anymore. And that's because I'm just so busy. If I'm reading, it's because I have a purpose for it. So yeah, that's my answer there. Um, what you guys do, I don't know. Brown chicken, brown cow, whatever. All right, what else we got? Oh, this one's kind of small on the screen, but that's okay. It'll be fine. Um, this one says, "So I would like a perspective from the dads." All right, I'm checking that box. My mother died after my birthday this year, overdose. I was raised in the system and was raised to not have emotions. I was hurting from her passing, but didn't shed a tear. Some think I'm crazy for that, but yeah, I wasn't raised that way. I don't feel like a bad person for it, but others may think that. Thoughts? So this one's interesting because the standard idea about men is that they're always stoic and they never show emotion, right? They have that stiff upper lip and they don't cry. And in some sense, I kind of agree with that, but kind of not. Here's the thing. As the the man of the house, my job to lead. You can't lead people if you're busy sobbing and weeping all the time. So therefore, it's not appropriate. But that doesn't mean it's never appropriate. Like when my mom passed in 2016, I cried like a little baby. I'm not ashamed to admit it. It happened. Why? Because she meant something to me. That's why. For this particular dad, if I was talking to him in specific, I would say number one, if the fact that you are bringing this up suggests that maybe you're not okay with this, that maybe you would like to express some emotion. So I would say you probably need to go and have talk to somebody. Not necessarily your buddy who's gonna be like, "Yeah, screw it, just stiff upper lip. Don't cry. Don't let nobody see you cry." Don't find that dude. Like, that dude maybe has his place, but that's not gonna help you here. I would actually because losing a loved one, a parent, is a big deal. You literally have 2 parents. You can only lose 2. Once you lose 2, you have no more to lose, right? And you meet thousands of people throughout your life, and yet you only have 2 parents. So I would say this is an opportunity to go and just say, "You know what? Maybe I have not fully processed this. Maybe I need to. Let me go and talk to somebody." And you might find out through talking that, hey, you are very comfortable with having not cried. I'm not saying you should or should not do, but I am saying that if a man cries because, his mom passed away, there's nothing wrong with that. And I would not look down. I would not be like, "Man, what a weak ass guy." I wouldn't say that. I would be like, "Yeah, his mom passed away." I would say that if any immediate family member passed away, right? Maybe some more than others, depending on, who it is and the situation. But absolutely, any immediate loved one is worth crying over, right? Presumably, assuming here that you have a good relationship with them. Um, so I would say time to go and have some talk therapy, talk to somebody, and just work out. Is there something that you need to get out at all for any reason? Is there a new place that you need to be? Right? Maybe you look at it and you go, I'm a little stoic, a little too stoic. And maybe I could show a little bit more emotion. Now, I don't know who this particular dad is. I don't know if he's got a full on family, if he's got, like just a wife or he's got a wife and 2 or 3 kids. But let's assume that he's got a wife and at least 1 child. Being able to show emotion when it's appropriate is a good thing. So if you're not able to show emotion, again, how can you lead? See, this is the thing. A lot of people think, "Oh, well, men, you're the leader of the family. You don't show emotion." No. How can you lead the family into a place where they recognize when it's a good time to show emotion and when it's not? How can you lead if you are not able to show emotion? And sometimes emotion look, here's the thing. Emotion is not just crying. It can be anger. It can be, it can be that stiff upper lip, right? Like there will be a time. There'll be. Let's put this into three hypotheticals. Okay, there will be a time where my son comes to me, and maybe I shed a tear with him, or maybe not, but there might be, right? Like potentially, it depends. Like maybe I'll give you a good example. Maybe it's not a. Maybe it's a tear of joy. He works really, really, really hard on something. Maybe he's in a maybe he joins a sports team and he's working really, really hard to be the number one player. Okay, and maybe it's soccer, and he has a certain goal that he wants to make by the end of the season, and so he works really, really hard. And I go out and I help him work really hard. And then at the end of the season, you know, he's named the best player on the team or something like that. I might cry a tear of joy with him. If he's crying like, "Yeah, I worked so hard, Dad. This is great." I might shed a tear with him. Be like, "Dude, this is so awesome. I'm so happy for you." Right? That would be an appropriate time to shed a tear and show emotion. And that is a demonstration to your family. Hey, as the leader of this family, this is when we should do it, right? Now, should my son cry about everything? No. I mean, he kind of, sort of. I mean, I don't want to say he does now, but he is 6. So he cries about things that, eventually he won't and are not appropriate. They're appropriate now, but they won't be, right? And so it's my job to show him and to demonstrate, lead by example. This is when you shed a tear. All right. So that was one example. So that was crying. So let's talk about anger. Maybe there'll be a time where he comes to me and he tells me something and I'm angry. And maybe I don't lash out at him, but I just am like, F and this and blah, whatever. And so I'm really angry and I express my anger outwardly. That might be appropriate. Not always appropriate, but it might be. And then there'll be the time when he comes and he tells me something, and I have to get all that, as an angry man, like goose fraba. I'm like, goose fraba. No, but I might have to just take a pause, take a breath, and be like, okay, tell me what happened. Right? Like my immediate reaction might be that I want to blow up, but I have to demonstrate to my family, okay, you can see on my face that I'm visibly upset. I want to blow up, but at the same time, I recognize this is a time to say, I need more information before I run with what my first gut says, my gut feeling says. Right. So those are 3 examples of leading by example about emotion. So I think in this particular case, guy, go get some therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going and just sitting down and talking to somebody. And look, we tend to demonize this kind of thing and say like, "Oh, talk therapy." What do you think hanging out at the fire pit with your buddies and maybe bitching about, um, your boss? Like, what do you think that is? And that's talk therapy. Um, but sometimes you need somebody that's going to help lead you specifically to a revelation. Like, it's good to have your buddies, I would never say not to have them, but you need to have, like, say, different buddies and different people that you can talk to for different things. So, for instance, let's say that I'm frustrated with my wife. Let's just say that my wife has been, getting on my nerves lately. She's in a bad mood or whatever. I might have 1 or 2 people that I could confide in and say, "Hey, man, let me talk to you about this." I'm not gonna talk to everybody about it, right? Because not everybody is the right person to talk to about things. So hopefully like I say, I use this example so that you understand, like, oh yeah, you're right. There are sometimes different people to talk to for different things. I don't just go and just like I'm not gonna go and talk to everybody, if I'm upset about my wife. I'm not gonna go and, like talk to our family best friend and be like, dude, I can't believe my wife. Like, cause they're gonna be stuck in this weird position now where they're friends of both of us and they're trying to advise. Like, that's not appropriate. Okay. So I think that it's acceptable to go and get some therapy and just say, hey, do a check-in. Where am I? Where would I like to be? Where am I? Is this a place that I'm comfortable with? If not, where would I like to be? How do I get there? Perfectly acceptable. And I think that's a good thing as a man. to make sure that you're leading by example. And if you need a little assist, you know, like if you are struggling to learn something, who would you call? You would call somebody that understands that material well. You say, "Hey, help me understand this." Right? Same concept. If it's, hey, like, you know what? I'm not very good at managing my emotions. Let me go talk to somebody. Let me go work this out. Maybe it's anger, right? Maybe you have an anger problem. You're just like, you're always angry about something. You're like, man, why am I so angry? Well, okay, well, then you go talk to somebody and say, all right, how do I work this out? Let's perfectly acceptable. That's my answer there. All right, let's go on to the next one here. Let's see. And I don't know if I'll get through all of them. We'll keep an eye on the time here. Any active runners here? Nope. All right. So moving around. All right, I'll go back. Any active runners? No, I am not an active runner, but I do enjoy cycling. And so I will just leave it at this. If you're not a runner, which I am not, then maybe you could be a cyclist or maybe you could do something else. You can go swimming, right? There are plenty of activities to stay healthy. And as a leader, as men, it's your job to be as healthy for as long as you can, right? Like if you die early, you're not a good leader, right? If you could have prevented it. I mean, obviously, there's some things you just can't prevent. If you're flying in a plane and the plane goes down, like not much you could do about that. Um, now I'll never want to be on a plane again because I'll remember having said that. So, but I encourage men to get out there and stay active. I'm actually starting to get into. I don't know what it's called yet, but on my Facebook Reels, I keep seeing these dudes pop up, and at first I thought it was just amusing, and they would just do these really complex, like cardio type activities. And they're like, I exercise without a single weight. And then finally, I was like, I'm gonna try one of these. And so I was trying it, and I was like, and it was really weird because it was like I didn't have the coordination to do it, and it wasn't like playing Twister and like a weird coordination that you just don't have, and you have to be lucky to get. It was coordination that you have to figure out, right? You have to just kind of work into. And so after doing it slowly a couple times, I was like, all right, I can do this a little faster. And then I realized, like, wow, I worked out like a whole bunch of different muscles all over the place. And so I was like, this is kind of interesting. So I'm actually going to start doing more of that. And maybe I'll report on that in the future. So stay healthy, men. Stay active. And if you're not a runner, go find something else to do, just like I do. All right, let's see what else we got. All right, fellas, who smoked cigarettes and quit? How did you make it easier on yourself while in the early stages of it? As it turns out, your humble host here used to smoke. When I turned 18, I was dumb, and I was like, and I immediately was it 18? Yeah, I think it was 18 because I think when I was smoking, you had to be 18. I think they've raised it since then, but I think it was 18. Pretty sure. Pretty sure it was 18. So I immediately went to the cigarette shop. Like yeah. If you're younger, you might be like the cigarette shop. Yeah, the tobacco store. Like there was a store for only tobacco. You could go in there, you can get your pipe stuff, you can get your cigarettes, you can get you had some cigars, they didn't have a huge selection usually. It was mostly cigarettes. But you could actually go to a full on tobacco store. Like that's all they sold. And I went in there and I was like, I had my ID and I was like, booyah. I was like, I'm 18. Give me some cigarettes. Like, yeah, see how stupid I was? And I smoked for probably about 5 years. Um, I started to try to quit when I was in Bosnia with the US military. And because they were like, hey, we're going to have this smoking cessation program. We encourage you to sign up and you can get all the medication for free. Just kidding. It wasn't for free. Thank you, taxpayers, for paying for for Zyban that I took for a short period until it gave me really bad headaches. And I said, the heck with this stuff. But I ended up just ultimately, how did I make it easier? One of the things that I found for me that worked was it was easier to not smoke than to try to ration cigarettes. Like if you were smoking a pack a day, which is like 20 cigarettes, you might say, all right, I'm going to dial it down. I'm going to do 15 today. And so then you would try to like space it out and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do 15. And then you might try to do like 10. You're like, I'm only gonna smoke a half pack. I'm just gonna wean myself off. I did not personally find that effective for me because the fact that I had the pack of cigarettes was like, oh, well, it's here. Let me just smoke one. So I found it easier to like just not buy them. And now easier. Like, don't get me wrong, it was still tough, and it took me several years to full on quit. Because initially I started off with the Zyban, that wasn't doing so well. Then I just kind of was like, I don't really. I started just not enjoying the cigarettes, and so I started like I noticed that I would put out a cigarette like halfway through, and I didn't make a big fuss of it. I was like, "Oh, whatever, halfway through. Okay, cool." And I just ran with it because rather than like, "Oh, I'm wasting my money." I was like, "Well, no, I was wasting money in the first place buying the cigarettes and I was damaging my health at the same time." So, the money was already spent, so might as well at least do benefit my health by not smoking the last half of that cigarette. And so I did make a big fuss of it and just kind of went with it. And then I just took every incremental step and I just ran with it. Whatever incremental step that I was able to grab onto and hold, I did. So like I did that. I would not buy cigarettes, and sometimes that did and did not work. Like I would not buy a pack and I'd go a few hours. But again, few hours without a cigarette. When you're wanting one, that's a step in the right direction. So if you're trying to make it easier, number one, you need to accept every increment that you can get because every increment goes toward smoking cessation. Um, when I came back to the States, then I got on the patch and there was like a stage, it was like 3 stages. So I think it was like you got so much nicotine out of the patch for the first stage, and then they lowered it in the second stage, and then lowered it again in the third stage. I think that's what they did. And so I would put a patch on my arm, and I went through stages 1 and 2. And then I realized it was like a week, and I realized I hadn't had a patch at all or a cigarette. And I was like, because I had forgotten. I simply forgot to put them on. And after a week, I was like, "Woo! I'm no longer a smoker now." It's not quite true, but I mean, that was my biggest milestone before things really started going in my favor. And then eventually, and I do not recommend this. Then eventually, I started smoking cloves when I started feeling like that desire. Um, but that can easily lead you back into smoking cigarettes as it did. And so I kind of did this bouncing on and off thing for a while. And then probably after a couple of years, I just, I finally was able to kick the habit. But I just kept going and I didn't stop. And I accepted every little win that I could, right? Because like if I went 2 hours without a cigarette and I really wanted one, that was 2 hours. So whatever. So that's what I did. Take every little win that you can. Let's see what else we got. What time? Where are we on the time? All right, I answer this question. We'll go to intermission. We'll come back, and then I got something else for you guys. All right, so or respond to this comment. I guess it's not really a question. Well, I guess it is. It says questions for dads out there. What do you guys think is the minimum to have before having a kid? Me and my wife are wanting to have our first kid next year, but I want to be completely ready. I'm already booking to buy a property to build our first house, but I'm wondering if there's more than just a home, transport, and the main needs to have, buy, or save before. So I saw a lot of dads answer this, and I'm going to answer the same way. What's the minimum to have? We want to be ready. Yeah, no. You're never going to be ready. You will think you're like, you could be a billionaire like Donald Trump, and there's going to be something that comes up that you weren't ready for. Promise you. Why? Because, like, let's say you have all the money in the world and you're like, I could just buy everything I need. Okay, great. All that money doesn't help you when you're ready to get out the door and go to church. And then your child has a meltdown. And then you have to deal with that. And that meltdown might last 10, 15 minutes and you don't get to go anywhere. Right. like you're not ready for that. I promise you. Yep. Here's what I'm gonna tell my son once. I try not to tell him too much so I don't embarrass him when he gets older. Uh, He was being ornery one day. Now, he is a good kid, but he was being ornery one day, and I don't know what like, he's always when it comes to outlets, he's always been very we showed him how to use outlet. You plug in with this plug, and then he would plug in the iron or something like that first, and so he learned the outlet is for things that look like a plug. I plug it, and so he never stuck a knife in or whatever, right? But one day, he was being particularly ornery, and he wasn't listening, and I promise you this happened, I promise. He went over to the outlet and put his tongue on it, and I flipped. I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Stop it." I think I smacked him on the shoulder, and I was like, "Stop it." Because, like, I know I don't like the idea of hitting my kid, right? Like, the idea of hitting my kid is anathema to me. I don't even wanna yell at him actually, right? But in that case, I'm like, I will smack you on the shoulder. He didn't get like he didn't get like a full on spanking. I just enough to be like to express my displeasure because I'm like, look, if I got to smack you on the shoulder to make sure you don't lick an outlet, fine, I'm going with it, right? Like, yes, um, I wasn't ready for that. If you had asked me every day that my wife was pregnant, what's the craziest thing you think you're going to experience? And all of those answers, not a one of them would have been, I bet my kid's going to be mad at me one day and lick a socket, an electrical socket. I would have never said that. I would have never guessed. I was not ready for that. And when I saw him do that, I flipped. I was like, "What are you doing?" It didn't sound like that. It was more manly than that, though. It's more like, "What are you doing?" Very deep sounding. So, yeah, you're never ready. There's always going to be something that you're not ready for. Um, Financially ready. This is the thing. Even if you have all the money that you need, you're still not used to spending it for those things. You're not used to, oh, it's picture time again. Okay, now he needs a soccer uniform. Okay, now he needs some shoes. Okay, he needs a new toy. It's his birthday, his friend's birthday. You're not used to all those expenses. So even if you have the money, you're not used to spending it. So, like, that's why I think the right answer here is you're never ready. Now, what kind that doesn't mean you can't prepare though, right? Like if you're looking and you're like, look, we want to have our first kid next year, maybe start thinking of the things that you could buy ahead of time, right? Or here's a really good idea. If you really want to prepare yourself and you really want to manage your finances, reach out to other parents and start talking to them, and they will tell you, don't buy this. Because they'll say like, okay, if you have a uh if your wife has a oh, what the heck is it called? I always forget at least one word on this show. It's like my signature or something. But if she has a baby shower, that's the word I was looking for. So let's say she has a baby shower. A lot of parents will tell you, don't buy these because that's your baby shower. You're going to get these like diapers. I wouldn't buy diapers because number one, a lot of people are going to give you diapers because it's an easy thing that everybody knows you're going to need. Right. The other reason that you don't want to buy too many diapers is because they grow fast. And so you don't want to buy a whole bunch of one particular size and then bam, they're bigger and they don't fit that size now. Now you have a whole bunch of extra diapers, right? So they're going to tell you about those kind of things. They'll also, if you get connected with different groups, particularly mom groups, I don't really see too many dad groups that do this because I don't know of any. But, mom groups, like my wife was involved in a mom's group, and they would very regularly get together and then trade toys. They would be like, "All right," you know, like, I'm gonna pretend that Bill's a toy here, but they would be like, "All right, my son no longer likes this plushie. Does anybody want this plushie?" And so, like, they'll just trade toys. And so you can get a lot of free toys without actually having to buy them. So you don't have to buy tons of toys when they're younger. As they get older, it gets a little different because then they have specific desires. Like when my son was a 1 year old, he didn't care what toy you gave him. You could give him a plushie like Bill and be like, all right, here's Bill. Go ahead and chew on him. Because that's exactly what a 1 year old does. And they don't care. They're like, "Oh, it's a cool toy. I'll play with this." Right? They get older, they're like, "I want Minecraft. I like Legos. I like this." Right? So then they start having specifics. So, I would say like, you know, get with these groups and they will help you be prepared and say, "Here are the things that you need to know. Here are some things that you don't want to do." Don't go out and buy everything because some of that stuff you don't even need, like a bottle warmer like, we got a bottle war somebody gave us one, but, like, I would never buy a bottle warmer. That's that little device that you put the bottle in, and it's got water, and you turn it on, and it heats it up, and, like, totally like, don't buy those. Just, you could do the same thing on the stove with some water. You could heat it up in the microwave. You could get a water kettle and just use a water kettle, which heats up water pretty fast. You can just pour it in a bowl and put it in there. Bam! Like now you have a water kettle for other things. You see what I mean? Like, don't go buying a bunch of stuff. Like, talk to parents. They'll tell you. They'll help you out. But ultimately, you're never going to be fully ready. There's always going to be there will be something that comes up and you're like, this is out of the ordinary or this is crazy. My kid's licking a socket. Yay. All right, so let's take some audience questions here or comments, questions, what have you, and then we will then we'll go to intermission, and then we will. I got something else for you guys. So let's see what we got here. Do. Is it we want jalapeno DL during the after party? So I will try to turn into a jalapeno, or a pepper. So they want me to be a pepper. Do I have any Dr. Pepper? And I can be like, you could be a pepper too. Just kidding. I'm not going to advertise for them until they give me money. Let's see. Home Alone, clean the house, laundry, yard work. I mean, that's kind of what my Home Alone ends up being. Whatever needs to be done around the house. Sometimes it's yard work exclusively because that's my domain. That's where I go and enjoy myself. But sometimes, yeah, it's pretty mundane stuff when I'm home alone. Sometimes, though, I'm like, I don't think I mentioned this, but sometimes I get excited when I'm home for like a long period because, and maybe I did mention it, but I get to watch a movie that I would not watch with my son there. So I don't know if I mentioned that earlier or not. Maybe I did. But yeah, sometimes I'll just like, whoa, this is time to watch that movie. It's got lots of killing and nudity in it, right? Because, as a man, I want to see what's not appropriate. I don't want, I'm not, as a man by myself, I'm not watching the lake. Okay. Let's see. If you do, that's fine. Like, I don't care. Let's see what else we got. Do. Kagela, leader. He who leads the charge and gets shot first. I mean, pretty much. Like if somebody breaks in my house, I'm getting shot first if they have a gun, because I'm going to be in front of my family. Presumably back away where we're safe, but if it comes to it, I'll be in front of them. Let's see. Do. I knew that was it. Jalapeno equals spicy. I knew what you meant. I was just trying to be deadpan funny. This is why I have to be careful with my deadpan because I'm so good at it. People take me as not telling a joke, but as being serious. Happens all the time. Don't worry. Let's see. Jeff Dunham, puppeteer. Jose does kind of remind me of DL and husband build. I thank you. I think. I just get called a puppet. I'm a puppet. Who's pulling my strings? Just kidding. That's a cool idea, though. Maybe I will look into getting a puppet for the show. Is that too juvenile, guys? It might be. Let's go. Let me think about that one. And then in the meantime, while I'm thinking about it, let's go to intermission. Hey, Liberty fam, do me a favor. If you enjoy the show, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button to my channel. And for the really serious folks out there, I want you to hit that bell so that you never miss an episode. By the way, if you want to support the show, head over to libertydad.locals.com and sign up. For $5, you can be part of this show. There, I'll engage supporters of the show. We'll discuss topics that you want me to talk about, response videos that you would like to see, or anything related to the show. And I'll even have a monthly subscribers only episode. By the way, I'm always looking for dads to join me for Dad Talk. That's my series where I invite everyday dads on to talk about what's important to them in the context of being a dad. No argument, no debate, and dads choose the topic. It's my way of raising dad voices. If you're a dad or you know a dad who has something to say, let's get connected. Episodes air live on Friday mornings or Friday evenings, whichever works best for dads. All right, let's get back to the show. Hey, we're back. All right, folks. I got this video here. So I've told you in the past that when I get on X, I see some of the absolute worst relationship advice ever, even from big accounts that like have a actual person that you can recognize and know behind them. I see some of the worst advice and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. And I'm like, I've been married for 12 years, 5 years before that. So I've almost got 20 years of marriage under my belt. And then I've observed many married couples that have been married even way longer than that, right? Like my wife and I are friends with somebody. They've been married. They might have been married for as old as I am, like some 40 years. Okay. They've been married for a very long time. And so I observe other married couples and I just look and I'm like, oh my God, hopefully nobody is taking some of this advice. So I'm going to start like promoting videos that I think are good. This one comes from Katie McCabe. I've talked about it in the past. Katie McCabe and her husband, they explicitly do relationship advice. That's what they do. They make videos with relationship advice and it's good. It's like advice that I have either seen other couples implement or talk about, or in some cases have used myself, not necessarily as a result of them, but you know, just through the course of observation and just things that I've learned over the years. And so I'm like, oh, these are great. I love these videos. So I'm gonna play a video, and then I'm just gonna kind of give you my added commentary on this video. And but what I really like about Katie McCabe, and I encourage you, if you're wanting a relationship or you have a relationship that you just want to, maintenance, or maybe even improve, right? Whatever. I would encourage you just to kind of go through the, like, if you're gonna look at reels and you're just gonna sit there and you're just gonna be like, there's a cat grabbing a fish out of the water, then chopping them up, right? Yeah, I don't pretend like you haven't seen those cat videos. Um, Instead of scrolling that way, go to Katie McCabe and just check on their reels and just, I'm going to go through there. Right. And then just get some good advice, because I promise you it's some really good advice that they give. And what's cool about it is they give advice for both sides, the man and the woman. So it's not one sided, and it's about all topics. So I've seen topics where it's like, they're talking about it from a woman's perspective, and then later in another video, they're talking about it from a man's perspective. Really good stuff. So here's this video. Let's check it out. Oh,
Close
a little
your
bit
eyes.
loud.
Close your eyes.
Now I want to pause this here just in case you're listening in the background or you're listening on Spotify and you won't be able to see the text that's on the screen. But it says, ladies, what if this is how we talk to our men? How would that change marriage? Question mark. Society? Question mark. And then it says, men, what would this do for you? Question mark. And the little finger pointing down, basically like, men, jump in the comments. Tell us what this would do for you. So I'm gonna respond to this after we play this video. Okay, so that's what it says.
I want you to see yourself going out there and killing it. You are prepared. You're wearing the hell out of that suit. And you were born to do this. Whatever they throw at you, I want you to return it. Like Serena. You are fierce, dignified, and in top form. Can you see it?
That's it. That's the video. There we go. Um, how would I feel if, now my wife has, not quite in that same way, but my wife has definitely given me encouragement um, in multiple ways. And let me tell you, how does that kind of make me feel? Makes me feel awesome. Like I could take on the whole world. In fact, and this is maybe kind of for the ladies out there. So men, if you're listening, any dads are listening in, or husbands, you could be like, hey, honey, you should check out this DL guy. And you can kind of surreptitiously get her to watch where I talk kind of to the ladies right now. Right. And if you're a lady and your husband did that, maybe he's trying to tell you something, or maybe he just liked it, whatever. So like, but to the ladies out there, that this kind of thing makes me feel like I could take on a whole world. There's like this joke going around right now, like, uh, could 100 men take on one gorilla? And I think it's an absurd thing to really think about. However, with a woman behind me cheering me on, you know what? I probably could feel like I could take on a gorilla. I'm just saying, like, that's the power that women, have with men. Just a simple like what this woman said, like, you go out there, you earn this, whatever they throw at you, you serve it back like you're Serena, right? And like this is that motivation. And like I'd be my chest would be pumped up. I'd be like going, like if I was going to a job interview and my wife pulled me aside, I'm gonna use Bill as if like and she was like, honey, you've been working really hard at this. And I just want you to know you got this. You go in there and you kill it. You show them what you're made of, right? You deliver. You got this. Man, I'm gonna be like, my tiny little chest is gonna pump up, you know, and my shoulders are gonna be back. I'm gonna be standing tall. I'm gonna walk in there like I friggin' own the place, right? And that's the confidence it's gonna give me. I mean, that's the whole point of being married, right? And I do the same thing for my wife. And it doesn't matter if it's something small or big, right? I like if she goes to a showing, she's like showing a house. It's what she does every day. I'll just text her and I'll be like, "You got this." Like, kick butt, right? Whatever. I just give her some little encouragement just to let her know. And then, sometimes she'll say, "Hey, these people signed the contract or whatever." And I'll like give her a high five. I'm like, "Awesome." I'm like, and I just, or some, here's what I'll do. I'll do this. Sometimes out of nowhere, for no particular reason, I just say, "You know what? You're a kick-ass wife." Boom, right there. Just a little bit of encouragement, right? And she does the same thing, right? It doesn't have to be, "Oh, you're getting ready to do this really big thing that you've been working hard for," although that too. But it also can just be a random, mundane, everyday thing. Because those are some of the things that kind of beat you up, right? Like, yeah, if you're working really hard on a project and that you're going to show your boss, and your boss is happy with it, yeah, you're going to be excited. And if they're not happy with it, you're going to be kind of let down. But that's a big one, and you kind of walk into it knowing, you have that trepidation, and like it could go bad. But for everyday things, you don't really think about those as going bad. And when they do go bad, yeah, one may not be such a big deal, but then the next thing that goes bad that's mundane and normal every day, that kind of adds to it. And so it's nice to hear some encouragement even on mundane everyday things. Oh, you're going to go show some people a house? I don't think you're going to need the good luck, but I'm going to tell you good luck. But you're awesome. Go kill it. Right? And I just give a little bit of encouragement. Same thing for my son. I tell him like almost every morning. Sometimes I forget, but almost every single morning before I come up, I'm like, "Hey, buddy," and I give him a kiss on his head or his cheek, and I'm like, "Do good at school today. You know, kick butt or something like that." I just give him a little bit of encouragement, and then I ask him. I'll say, "Hey, what did you do today?" And he'll be like, "Oh, I did this." I'm like, "Wow, that's really cool. I'll show you." And he'll show me something. He'll be like, "Hey, I made this." I'm like, "Wow, that's really cool. What is it?" Blah blah. We'll talk about it, right? And I just make sure that I am building confidence, not only before but after. So, ladies, if you're out there and you're listening, I'm telling you, the one of the top tier things that you can do as a wife, as a girlfriend, significant other, as a whatever, right? Encourage your man. Promise you that will go further than you even realize. And the more clear and unambiguous it is, like the better. Like you stop him, he's getting ready to get out the door, and you're like, "Hold up, don't you go anywhere just yet." And he's all like, "Oh, great, I'm in trouble now." And he's looking at the trash can, like, "Nah, I took the trash out." And then she's like, just gives him that lays out that encouragement, looks him into, his eyeballs, the soul of his, in the window of his soul. Yeah, that's how it goes, the window of his soul. You look him right in the eyes and you're like, "You got this. I have so much confidence in you. I'm so proud of you. Even if you somehow don't make it, I am proud of the work that you did. You're impressive." Every man wants to hear that. Promise you. Every man. So do that. And then men, you reciprocate. You make sure that you do the same thing. Because here's the fun part. Everybody likes to be encouraged. Everybody does. Whether you're a woman, you're a man, you're a child, everybody likes encouragement. Everybody likes to know that they did a good job. The harder they work, the more they wa- the you know, the more they want to hear they did a good job. Not necessarily because they need the accolades. It just feels good, you know? It's like sexy time. It just feels good. All right. So I just wanted to point that video out. I'll do more video commentary in the future. Um, and there is a bunch of them that, sometimes it'll be serious, sometimes it'll be fun. Like there's a couple that I watch and they're hysterical. They just make they play on the marriage tropes and they make jokes about it. And I think it's hysterical. And so I love watching them. So I'll have some commentary on those in the future. I'll do some more things like this. If you guys know of anything, send it to me. Let me know. Be like, "Hey, dad." Hey, dad. Don't call me dad. That's weird. "Hey, Liberty Dad. Um, would you give some commentary, some feedback on this video, on this meme, on this picture, on this whatever?" right, on your dad talk. And I will. I will do that. So just reach out and send it to me. Okay, we're gonna end this show. We're gonna go into overtime after show party, whatever you want to call it. So if you are a Rumble Premium member, you can do that. But before we do that, let's get to some final comments here, and then let's see here. Um, yes, Kagela says too much fear of encouraging male ego. That's true. There is a lot of fear, and let me dissuade some of that fear. Male ego is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. But it's not negatively feeding an ego to really just inspire confidence in your man, right? And now look, like if you're a man and you have a man, same thing, same concept here, right? Like this is not a, you know, starting to get awkward the way I'm saying it. But anyway, DL, be a little realistic. A libertarian will win the presidency before that happens. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about the gorillas. I think you're talking about that. Perhaps. Yeah. So perhaps. I don't think 100 men are going to be able to take on a gorilla. My opinion. Let's see. Let's see here. I'm looking else. What else? Do. My VA lady followed up and said, I think a little DL puppet would be cool. Jeff Dunham is a legend. He is. He is amazing. I promise you, I cannot ventriloquism like him. I'm sure I said that grammatically correct. But who knows? Maybe I will get a puppet and I don't know. Like, I feel like Liberty Dad, I'm over here talking about dad be leaders. And then I'm all like, maybe I'll get a puppet and I'll do a puppet show for you guys. Who knows what I'll do? Who knows? All right, folks. I'm going to end this show and then I'm going to go into the after show. And so see me in there. So where are we at? What got here? Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this episode informative and inspiring. Be sure to catch me Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. for an informed discussion on politics and culture. Make sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, or if you prefer my Rumble channel, you can go to youtube.libertydad.com, or you can go to rumble.libertydad.com. While you are there, let me know how I'm doing by leaving me a comment. You can also become part of the community by heading over to libertydad.locals.com. Remember, if you're a champion of liberty, your business is people and your product is liberty. I want you to have a great week. Catch you next time. But for now, I'm out.